everybody, welcome back and thanks for watching. Today I'm going to show you one of my favorite go-to desserts. It's especially good in the summer, but really you can make this year-round. It's a lemon crust fruit pizza, and what makes this one different is the lemon crust. It is so good, you're really going to love this, and of course it's super easy. So for the crust, all you need is a boxed lemon cake mix. I don't do this too often, but I usually prefer Pillsbury brand, but for some reason that's hard to find now. So I usually use like Betty Crocker. Something with the pudding in the mix seems to make a difference. So 1 lemon cake mix, just put that in your mixer. And we've got the oven heating at 350, getting ready. We're going to add to that a 1/2 cup or 1 stick of room temperature, make sure it's really soft, butter, 1 egg, 2/3 cup of crushed graham cracker crumbs. Now I usually just do that in my food processor. If you don't have a food processor or don't want to get your processor dirty for that, just put some graham crackers in a Ziploc bag. Use your rolling pin and just crunch them up to a fine crumb. It usually takes about 5 to 6 graham crackers. And then to that also a 1/2 cup of chopped walnuts. This little chopper gets it to about the size that I like, just kind of small granule, so a 1/2 cup. And you simply blend this together. Now start slow so it doesn't get all over because you don't have a lot of moisture in here. And it takes a minute, but you want to blend it until it all comes together in a ball, and I'll show you what that looks like when it's done. So this is what it's going to look like when it's all, it just takes about a minute or so. You'll think it doesn't have enough moisture at first, but it will come together like this in a really thick dough, okay? Now the pan that you want to use, it works best on an 11-inch. You can use a 12-inch pizza pan. I've just sprayed it with a little bit of Pam. I don't recommend using the non-stick pan because we're going to be cutting it with a sharp knife or a pizza cutter, and you're just going to cut into that non-stick surface. So just put it all on here, and it just takes a minute, but you just want to spread it all out evenly onto this pan. Smells really good. You can really smell the lemon. If you want to make it more lemony, sometimes what I'll do is add maybe a 1/2 teaspoon of lemon extract, or if I have lemon, I might add a little bit of lemon zest, just if you want a little bit more lemon flavor. Just spread this out. You can see it's really nice and soft. This turned out perfect. Sometimes it will vary just slightly if your egg is a little bit smaller than another, and sometimes if that happens, that's when I might add the little bit of extra extract to get that moisture that I need. But generally you don't need to. So I'm just going to push this all into the pan, super easy. And you'll see I'm just kind of pushing it all out, and I'm making this nice little rim so it'll look like a pizza and have a nice little edge when we're all done. And then just kind of flatten out, get your fingerprints out of there. And that's it. I'm going to throw it in the oven at 350. Your ovens will vary, and you don't want to overcook it. You don't want it crispy. So 15 to 17 minutes is all that it will take. Very light brown on the top, puffy in the middle. And then we're going to take it out, let it cool, and then we'll make our topping. Okay, so my crust baked for about 15 minutes and 30 seconds. It's perfect. It's completely cooled. You want to cool it because we're going to be using a cream cheese and whipped cream topping, so you don't want it warm when you put that on. So the first thing I do, and this is something I figured out after many years of making this, actually very recently, is that I pre-cut the crust. And the reason I do that is because if I pre-cut it, I kind of push it back together before I put the topping on. Nobody else will notice, but I'll see the little cut marks in the crust. And that way, when I'm decorating it with the fruit, I can work within those guidelines so that when I do the final cut through the topping, every piece will look like this perfectly decorated piece without having to smash through the fruit to cut it. So you'll see what I mean when I'm done. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I use a pizza roller. It's really easy, but if you don't have one, just use a knife. And this easily cuts into 8 to 12 pieces. I like to serve big pieces, so I do 8, but you can do 12 if you need to. I was tempted to do 12, but I thought better of it. I know I'm going to want a bigger piece. You see how nice and easily that cuts through. That's perfect. You don't want to be tempted to overbake it. When you look in the oven, it's going to be so light brown. Just the outer edges are going to be light brown. That's when it's done. It's going to be very puffy, but don't overcook it. It'll be crispy. So, and then I just kind of push it back together. Nobody will ever know. So I'm going to just set that aside. Now the fruit that I like to use for the topping, I'm going to get that ready first. Strawberries, mandarin oranges, and kiwi. So wash and have your strawberries. You've got your mandarin oranges and kiwi. I'm going to show you a great way to cut kiwi. What you want to do is just with a sharp paring knife, cut off the top of the kiwi. And then with a spoon and kind of, a more little bit pointy spoon, a thin kind of spoon, very simply, you just slip the spoon under the skin there and then just very carefully work your way around. It works so much easier than you think it's going to. It's really amazing. All the way around, all the way to the bottom, and then it just comes right out. Cut that bottom part off, toss away the skin, and you're good to go. So much easier than trying to skin it with your paring knife. I'm just going to get these prepped really quick. I've already got my strawberries and mandarin oranges ready. So just cut it in half and then give it some slices. Usually takes about 1 or 2 kiwi. I'll get 2 ready just in case. Okay, so the fruit's ready. Now I'm going to make the topping. Now the topping is just 3 things: whipped cream, heavy whipping cream, cream cheese, and sugar. So to my mixer, first I'm going to add my room temperature softened cream cheese. It needs to be softened. And then 1/3 of a cup of sugar I'm going to gradually add as I'm beating the cream cheese, just until that's fluffy and all whipped together. And then I'm going to slowly add my whipping cream. Scrape down the bowl once or twice to make sure you get off all of that cream cheese off of the bottom. And then you want to whip it to about a medium to stiff peak. And if you don't know what that means, I'm going to stop at different intervals and show you so that you know when a recipe tells you soft peak, medium peak, stiff peak, you'll know what they're talking about. So first with my cream cheese and sugar slowly added. Going to scrape down the bowl, make sure I'm getting that all really combined well until it's nice and fluffy. Really just takes about 30 seconds or so. Okay, so I'm going to add my heavy whipping cream. I'm going to mix it a little bit first and then scrape down the bottom of the bowl to make sure that cream cheese is getting all mixed in. Okay, it doesn't take too long, but I'm going to show you when a recipe says soft peak, stiff peak, medium peak, you just take your mixer, pull it straight up, and bend it over. Now that would be considered a soft to medium peak. It's going to be stiff peak when that peak sticks straight up. I'm going to do it for just a little bit longer. I like closer to a medium to stiff peak. Okay, I'm going to check it one more time. See, that's a stiff peak. So that's perfect to me because I usually, what's one thing that's great about this recipe is you can make it the day before. So this is just gonna hold up really well in the refrigerator for tomorrow's, you know, potluck or family barbecue. Okay, so all you wanna do is you want to use every bit of this topping. So just scrape it all out of the bowl, put it on the middle of your pizza. And then using a regular spatula or a little offset spatula, just spread it around. Just like that. And you don't want it to go all the way to the edge because you want it to look like a pizza. Leave that crust there. And then you just want to use your fruit and decorate it however you want. Remember to use your little cut guidelines here. So I usually start with a strawberry. And I'll put 2 on the top because that usually fits right within my cut lines. And then I'll just go around and decorate it with the mandarin oranges and the kiwi. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. So there you go, a beautiful, simple, summertime, delicious dessert, lemon crust fruit pizza. You can also use other fruit if you want to. I've used grapes where I've cut them in half. If you want to use bananas or something like that, you can. If you use bananas, because they'll brown though, you might want to, well, you would want to slice them ahead of time and put them in, toss them in lemon juice so they won't brown. Another thing, which is a great idea, if you want to make little individual fruit pizzas, what I've done before is using the exact same crust, same recipe, spread it out in a jelly roll pan, maybe not the full pan. Bake it just like you would. Watch it. You might have to bake it for a little less time. Then when it's about halfway cool, use a biscuit cutter or a round cookie cutter. Cut your little individual shapes, let it cool completely, and then just decorate them individually. It's a great finger food. So the next time you're invited to a finger food dinner party or a summer barbecue, I want you to volunteer to bring the dessert and make this. I'm sure everyone will be happy that you did. So thanks for watching. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. And I'll see you next time. But first, I'm going to give this a cut and try it. See how pretty that is, and I didn't have to cut through the fruit to get to it. And just as a side note, today is my 50th birthday, and this is what I wanted to eat. So happy birthday to me, and I'll see you next time.